That is how I got the opportunity to work at the Emmys and meet Selena Gomez. I competed here in California, I competed in Nevada and Colorado, and I won Miss Colorado 2023. I didn't win, I didn't even make top 20, and there was so much investment, there was so much heartbreak. I had a huge ego death after the fact.
So you're forging your own path.
I'm a Sagittarius, so like, you're not gonna tell me what to do. Mira is just empowering all women, especially women of color.
If she can do it, I can do it.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Thank you. She must have something I don't have. That's why she's luckier and she can do it. What would you tell that person?
Rejection is just redirection.
Hi everyone, welcome to Empowered with Gina. Today we have Miss Arianna Lemus here, and we are gonna learn all about what it's like to be an up-and-coming actress and maybe lawyer. You heard it here first. I'm just kidding. We'll talk about that.
Of course.
Okay,
of course.
Arianna, how are you?
I'm so grateful to be here, Gina. Like, being here in front of you feels so surreal.
Yay.
Because all the work that I see that you've done online, and to just know that like you see the value in me 100%. And my story, like I'm on a high right now.
Wonderful. And I would love to say that we look alike, and I don't say that often, but don't we? Sisters. I would say we look like sisters.
I was embodying my like Gina look today, I won't lie.
Okay, good. Well, I'm loving it.
Thank you.
You know how we start. 3 adjectives about yourself.
Loving, outgoing, and genuine.
Okay, beautiful. Where did we grow up? Who was the little
Arianna? I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, so very familiar with this area. Mm-hmm. Mission Hills predominantly, which is where Danny Trejo is from, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so I went to Bishop Alameda High School, private high school, and very thankful for my parents. They divorced when I was 7, but they did the best that they could with co-parenting, and it was very important for them to not only prioritize my education, my brother, and my sisters. Mm. And although I didn't finish college, but we'll talk about becoming a lawyer later.
There's ways.
Exactly. I just am a creative. I've always just admired media. Growing up, watching Disney Channel, Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, that was really my representation. I know there was more international, Latina queens,
sure.
But like for me being Mexican-American, like those are my icons, right?
Sure.
And I actually got to meet Selena Gomez at the Emmys 2024.
Fun.
Yes, but for me, I just wanted to be an actress. I'm a performer.
From a little girl.
From a little girl, I always knew it. So like to be here today and to like have founded Mira and to do all the things that I do with women in film, like it's a very full circle moment.
Okay, so let's quickly talk about your family and their focus on education. I am a huge proponent of education. I know school's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. However, growing up with parents who wanted and pushed education for you being a natural creative, there's a lot of families out there and kids that like have that kind of like conflict with the family, and they're like, but I'm a creative, but you're out of school, and that thing. How did you work through that? So
I did do I tried to get my associates. I did the best that I could, but I wasn't passionate about it, and I felt the pressure being the eldest. Like you have to set the example for your brother and your sister, and I'm a Sagittarius, so like you're not gonna tell me what to do. So that was my energy, especially like 10 years ago, like being 18, like very stubborn. Okay. And I just kind of fell into that, and I told my parents that I found this acting program, Baron Brown Studio, shout out to you guys in Santa Monica.
Yes.
It's a Meisner technique method, and I did it for 2 years.
How old were you then?
I was 18, 19.
Okay.
And then I booked a BuzzFeed web series. So then my parents were like, okay, maybe you are actually going to find success in this business. But my dad was like a childhood actor, and he was auditioning with Mario Lopez back in the day. So he always knew how hard it was, and they always like tried to like steer me away from it. And ultimately, like I just put my foot down and I said, this is what I want to do. So then, trying to get roles and all these things and like kind of back up, because it's like being an actor, it's like very inconsistent, right?
Sure.
It's very like not stable. So my dad is a Teamster, very proud 399 Teamster.
Yes,
and when I wasn't really booking stuff in front of the camera, he's like, get your ass in a pass van. You're going to drive a pass van on set.
Excellent.
So that's how I got into production. And it's really just been the last 10 years of just trying to find a career both in front and behind the camera. But then the last 7 years, I was also very much involved with the Miss USA organization. And I competed. Yeah. I was a part of Miss USA. I competed in 2023, and I competed here in California. I competed in Nevada and Colorado, and I won Miss Colorado 2023.
I mean, that is a whole conversation. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And you got into it, why?
I got into it because being an actress and seeing Miss Congeniality, I was like, well, what if I go out for a pageant girl role, which still have not done that. So I guess that's up to me to write the story.
That's right.
And yeah, for me, it was just like, why not? I had been reached out to by my previous pageant coach. She had a whole pageant organization that would help girls prepare for Miss California USA. And ultimately, like, I would watch Miss USA. I didn't grow up watching pageants. That wasn't a thing. My mom was born in TJ. Like, she's honestly very much a tomboy, if anything.
Sure.
Didn't like really watch growing Disney movies or anything princess related.
Okay.
So, but I was always a girly girl. So essentially, when I got approached by the coach and she saw my potential, she's like, you look like a Miss Universe. I know you could do it. And I had never been told any kind of words of affirmation like that, you know? And especially being 18, very naive, getting into the industry, trying to do modeling, trying to do acting, trying to do all the things. I was like, I think pageantry wouldn't be a bad thing for me.
Sure.
Because I definitely still do have that Valley girl accent, but I just needed to like speak a little bit more proper and like really articulate my story to have an impact.
Absolutely. And then so you're forging your own path, figuring it out, which I love, a road less traveled story, which is you. You know, you didn't do the, you know, regular check the box, go to school, do the thing, get the job, which I love because there are so many paths to success and in figuring out what works for you.
100%.
So talk to me how we came up with Mira La podcast, because this is so cool. The name, first of all, is so catchy and cute.
It is.
And for people who don't speak Spanish, what does that mean?
So Mira La means look at her. And for me, it was just a thing that I wanted to create. Aside from being a podcast, it's also a media company, right?
Yeah.
And it's all women focused. And we just wrapped up a short film called Buenos Modales with an all-women crew. So for me, Mira La is just empowering all women, especially women of color.
Sure.
Because we just don't see enough of representation. And recently, the Hollywood Diversity Report, I don't know the exact statistic, but it's just like so sad to see like women behind the camera, both in front. We just don't have that leadership. So I really created Mira La on like a foundation that I wanted people to see women of color in leadership positions as producers, as directors. So aside from the podcast where I get to interview all different kinds of beautiful women, I founded the Mira La Film Festival where we focus on women of color specifically.
Interesting. So you're creating this space and the example for women to look at, because then we know so many women will look at you. Maybe they don't look like us, they don't look like you, but they're like, if she can do it, I can do it, you know? So I love that. And then, so what are your plans for Mira La? Because like, how long has it been around?
It's been around since 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so in COVID, you founded it.
Literally like right after, because I did my first short film called Red Flags, and then I just wanted people to see it. And then it was like, oh, well, I don't want people to only see my film, like I should open it up. So then it was a conversation with like my team at the time that it was like, oh, well, what's a film festival that we could create that's like, there's so many in LA, like how can we stand out? And I was like, well, I have a pageant background. I'm very passionate about women advocacy and women voices. So might as well, you know, create a film festival focusing on women. Okay, but there's so many other women festivals. So I was like, well, there is a lack of women of color that we're not seeing, both in front and behind. So I said the loophole with my film festival is that even if it was directed by a man or a white woman, whoever is the woman of color attached to that project, whether it was talent, whether it was the producer or the writer, she will come to the Mira La Film Festival and speak about her experience. Because you go to these film festivals and more often than not, it's the writer and the director that are speaking about the film and all the great things. But like, what about the women? What about the women of color that helped you create your vision?
That's brilliant, because you're fast tracking the opportunity to give them the space versus them having to put in years and years and years and hopefully make it in front of the camera or, you know, behind the camera to a point where they would actually have opportunity to speak. You're saying if you're attached to the project at all, your voice and journey is important. And
exactly.
and you're creating that. I love this. This is so what an alternative idea.
It's just a space. Mira La really is my legacy, and this is what I want to leave behind when I'm done. I think when people look back at my life and they think of Arianna and Mira La, like Arianna created a space for women of color to feel seen and heard.
Well, I feel seen and heard. And I mean, truly, like, I can feel all the vibes. So I'm so excited about this. Okay, so then what do you tell somebody watching this who is like, I have big dreams. It might not even be acting. I have big dreams. I don't have family support. Arianna must be so lucky. She must have financial backing. She must have something I don't have. That's why she's luckier and she can do it. What would you tell that person? Because they're saying that right now.
Of course. I think that people see me and they project a lot of their insecurities onto me. And I've had that my entire life. You know, I'm the representation of the Latina that's flaca, right? Like I've always been kind of like commented on my body and how like so like beautiful and like all these things. But there's so much more to my exterior. It's really about my heart and my mind. And I think that's really my energy that people get to feel because I will talk to everyone. And I think to answer your question, it's don't let what your environment or the people in your life, specifically your family and their limiting beliefs, stop you from what your heart and your calling is really asking you to do.
But what if it's scary?
It is very scary. I'm scared every day.
See, I told you. I always say it. Right?
It's very scary and it's very unstable what I'm doing, but I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. Like as of right now, I'm attached to 3 independent projects. Chicas being one of them.
Which is what?
Which is, so we're using this term called Lux Latina. And I love it because Reina Torres, the creator, created this term. And when I see you, you are the definition of a Lux Latina.
I sound like that. I don't even know what it is, but I do sound Lux.
Because it's Latinas that are unapologetically luxurious.
Yeah.
Because we have been, in again, media have been taught to see, you know, women and Latinas in a certain way.
Interesting.
When like you talk about money very openly. You talk about your abundance.
Wealthy.
Yes. You talk about your abundance mindset. That is not really something that we see in representation in media. And you're breaking that stereotype.
100%. So are you.
Yeah, yes. And that's what we're doing with Chicas. We're filming the pilot at the end of September. And then I'm attached to 2 short films as well. So I feel like I'm in a new timeline. I'm actually getting paid to be a producer. And this is something that I never thought that like this would be my life. But of course it was because I've always been a hustler. I've always been somebody to put myself out there. And that's like another advice I want to give people. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Thank you.
Right? So if you have something on your heart and on your mind, speak up and advocate for yourself because people are not mind readers.
But I'm shy. What if I'm shy? What if that? What do you tell those people? Because I'm sure you hear it. You are an example for people to look up to. But I think the part we as Lux Latinas need to teach and share and model, which I know we do, is that breakthrough for the person who's like, yeah, but I'm embarrassed. Yeah, but I'm shy. Yeah, but I don't know what to say. What do you advise? How do you work through that? Because I think you naturally probably work through it very quickly and you don't even realize you're doing it.
Right.
What would you tell one person who says, I have a passion for it, but what do I say? I don't know anyone. I go into these rooms and how do they present? Based on your experience, what could they carry with them?
So for me, I think your mindset is everything. And the things that you tell yourself are paradigms. So what is a paradigm? A paradigm is telling yourself that you can't do something. And it's a matter of shifting that paradigm to, it's not that I can't, it's that you actually can. But it's so uncomfortable because it feels like you're lying to yourself. But I have the background of an actor. So I just wear that. I'm like, I'm just gonna act confident today. I'm just gonna act like I know when I'm talking. I'm just gonna act like this is what I think I should be doing. It is almost like an act that you're putting on, or a hat, if you will. And if you need to take off that hat and feel like that's not really how it is, but you got to put that hat back on.
Sure.
And I think when you keep putting that hat back on, or your crown, if you will, keep putting that crown on, and you'll realize like, oh, this is who I am. I just needed to practice and embody that.
So let's talk about, thank you. So let's talk specifically about a conversation that's very difficult for a lot of people to have in business, is seeking funding. So to put on a film festival is not is not cheap.
No.
To produce a film, to do even a short or independent thing, funds are necessary. And we all know people have different comfort levels, especially I think communities that have not been comfortable or have been instructed on how to have financial conversations or the asks. How do you approach that? How do you get your funding? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if you have like unlimited wealth to do these things.
No.
So you're like everyone else.
100%.
How do you look at that, and how does that not stop you in your tracks?
So I think because of my background with pageantry, I always had to get sponsors for my gowns, for my makeup, for my outfits. So from a very young age at 18, my coach was instructing me to go to local businesses and to reach out to, family friends that were business owners and say,
And like, what would you say?
Well, it would just be very simple. Say, I'm going to be competing for Miss Century City or Miss Hollywood, and pageantry is very expensive. I don't come from a wealthy background. If you have it within your heart to provide $500, then you can actually get, a tax break, a tax deductible break, because you're a business owner. And these are things that you just have to be educated on. And I wouldn't have known this if it wasn't for my mentor. So I think people that really have these negative paradigms, getting a mentor, Empowered with Gina, getting a type of workshop online, in person, that can just start to shift the way that you think. Because ultimately, if you want change in your life, you have to change the feelings, the thoughts that you have within inside you. And then the moment that you start to articulate, oh, I can create the life that I want, and it all starts with my mindset. So that for me was a big thing. So when I go now into meetings and I'm pitching Mira, whether it's for sponsor for the podcast or for the film festival or for a film, if you will, it's finding that passion of why this connection, why this sponsor would benefit from it. And ultimately, business owners need to see the value, and they don't necessarily care how much or what it is. They want to feel something. So if you're able to make them feel something that what they're helping you with is helping them and helping the community, why wouldn't they want to help you?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you tap into the human emotion, just being a human being.
Yeah.
And an excellent pitch. So that can be replicated for anyone in whatever background or industry, literally following this formula.
It's just
why
human
not?
Emotion. Yeah, I think just make people feel good. And we talked briefly about Dr. Yasmin Davids, right? And
yes, shout out to Dr. Yasmin Davids. Hey, girl.
I want you on my podcast, girl. So she talks about how you just have to be a good human.
Yes.
And I think when you can be graciously assertive, right? And you can just articulate to people what it is that you need. Because again, closed mouths don't get fed. If you want to work with somebody, I wanted you on my podcast, I just slid in your DMs. And I'm always shooting my shot, because what pageantry has taught me, rejection is just redirection.
You see? Okay, so we're going to conclude this portion of the conversation, but I also do an exclusive just for my Empowered with Gina members, and I want to talk specifically about that.
Okay.
How the pageant world, I can never imagine being in a pageant, so I'm so impressed right now.
Thank you.
But in our exclusive part of our podcast, we're going to talk about being told no, especially in the pageantry world, but how it carries over into life and how it's failure defined, sure, but truly it's just a pivot and an opportunity. So we are going to talk about that briefly next. Thank you.